Welcome to the Lipoedema podcast, hosted by Shell and Tiana. Our aim is to make noise around lipedema and educate as many people as we can about this disease.
Our guest list contains professionals who work in the field and women who live with lipedema. Thank you for joining us.
Nat Quirk is a creative turned business designer and mentor. She has spent 20 years in corporate communication and stakeholder management, with a big career and life before being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2015. Nat went on to beat her terminal diagnosis, but in the process wrangled with the physical changes in her body, health and appearance. This prompted a deep dive into how we see ourselves as women, how we love our physical and emotional bodies, and seeing the absolute beauty in ourselves and each other. Always one to love a good outfit and a bit of a personal expression, Nat continues to work with women in how to create a personal style that amplifies our love of self. Nat is from a 6th-generation cane farming family in the Tweed Valley, a big thinker and self-confessed lover of new places and people, solo mum, a cancer survivor. Nat is a former advocate for Melanoma Patients Australia and ambassador for the Melanoma March. Nat has appeared on Channel 7 and 9 News, ABC Radio and numerous print news publications.
I thank you so much, Nat, for joining us this afternoon or this evening. Before we get into style and fashion, I want to touch on your cancer journey and the changes that happened to your body during that time.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, girls. I love talking about this stuff. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2012, and in 2015, I was given a stage 4, so end-stage cancer diagnosis. But in between, I had a number of surgeries, and you know, your perception of yourself, up until then, I'd always been this person who was like, listen, the face is always good, you know? Don't worry about anything else. The face is always good. And unfortunately for me, my cancer originated in my neck, so just under my chin. And I had a number of surgeries that were around this sort of, you can see one of the scars here that runs up. And what that did, aside from creating like a number of I had a predisposition for my scars to heal in that keloid fashion. So really lumpy, really prominent, and much more visible, I suppose, post-surgery than what anyone had anticipated. And so I noticed the change. And because obviously you're always looking at your face, you know, and so I noticed the change straight away from the first surgery. It was very much like I've got all this swelling around my chin and my neck. And then in 2015, I had to have a radical neck dissection, which is where they literally slice from behind my right ear down into my shoulder and then around here and down into my chest. They took out all the lymph nodes. I think about 35 in total. And that just meant straight away that there's no, you know, the most activity that happens in our lymphatic system, aside from the groin, is in the head and the neck. That's the biggest network we have. And I didn't have that. So I'd lost all this tissue. So I, you know, it had misshape in my face, and I'd lost some nerves. They deliberately cut a nerve down in here to help with the healing. Otherwise, the pain would have been quite excruciating when you're healing from that. And it just meant straight off the bat, I had lymphedema. There was just no way to move that fluid. And obviously so much scar tissue there. So you've got scar tissue constricting what you may have been able to deal with lymphatic massage, but scar tissue immobilized with 9 weeks of recovery, and the keloid scarring, no lymph nodes. And it was just a journey. for me to learn about how to manage that, you know. So for the first couple of years, for me, it was like I couldn't even get a bite on that side of my face because everything would blow up. If I got sick, my glands would blow up, the lymphatic system wouldn't be able to cope, a lot of fluid. And it was really, I'm going to say probably for 3 years post-surgery, I was having lymphatic massage once a week. It was really, quite.
That's a big investment.
It is at $100 a pop for a lymphatic massage. It's a big investment. But I think for me, it was more the emotional side of things, of sort of learning to, like, obviously there's the cancer journey. Let's park that. And on top of that, you've got this, you're unwell, you look like shit because you're unwell. And you've got this thing happening here, which is really like totally impacting the way that you see yourself. Even on your best days, it's right there reminding you that, yeah, we've got all this going on. Yeah. So
being your face and your neck, like all those places that we see all the time. Constant reminder of what you're going through.
Yeah. The one thing you're constantly looking at.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you said, Nat, originally, before this experience, that, you know, well, your face is there, and then you ended up with this experience where you had to really dig a whole lot deeper.
Yeah.
Had you heard of lymphedema before you had your experience with cancer?
No, I sort of knew what it was, but no, I didn't have any real familiarity with it. And no one talks about it with you. So in that whole surgical experience, we talk about scans, we talk about impact to your health, we talk about recovery periods. No one spoke to me about lymphedema. No one spoke to me about the impact of scar tissue on your lymphatic system, and couple that with lymphedema, what kind of journey that would be. And, you know, for me, really, it was like three, I was so conscious of the scar, and I was so conscious of the changes in my face from day to day. Plus also, when it happens and you're not really familiar about how your lymphatic system works and where fluid could drain to and how to manage that, every time it blew up, I would think, am I having a recurrence here? Is this another tumor? Am I having a recurrence? So all those things mixed together, it really meant that, I mean, I've spoken to Shelley at length about the cancer journey, but it was just such a period of like, okay, I can really let this impact how I feel about myself, or I can really dig deep here. And as much as we think sometimes digging deep is so hard, it was so much easier than the option of just letting these things, you know, layer on top of each other and sit in that horrible feeling about myself from day to day. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, so a lot of us who have lipedema also have lymphedema because of the damage from the scar tissue from all this diseased fat that we're carrying around. So what was some of the things you did, like you said, you didn't have to dig too deep, but how, like, for our women who are just getting diagnosed and have spent their entire lives struggling with a body that just doesn't respond or do anything that they read that it should do, like
you want them to do, that you've been conditioned that it should be doing, and then yours doesn't. I think for me, like, at that point, I really had to challenge that paradigm and realize that, you know, there is a representation of women's bodies. Maybe it's in the media, you know, for me, it was always magazines, you know. Maybe it's in advertising, so the fashion industry and advertising. Maybe it's even in the medical system, who don't understand or don't, you know, communicate that bodies are so distinctly individual, the way that they operate, the way that they feel, the way that they look. And for me, I found peace in that, in challenging those stereotypes and that body image paradigm that was living, you know, in my face about how I should look and feel. And I really, you know that I've done a lot of somatic work in terms of body work, and that really was, you know, the game changer. And starting to follow other women who were not in a cancer journey and were not dealing with the issues that I was dealing with in terms of the specifics, but were dealing with the headline issue of, I don't know how to love my body like it is. And how do I do that? And so I really sort of lent into that space. And I've always been someone who questions, you know, the norm anyway. So it was kind of like a return to, you know, to what I knew to be the truth, that we're all so distinctly different. And there is a big machine behind women's body image that makes a lot of money out of us feeling like we don't fit how we're supposed to. And that was peace and freedom.
It's such a powerful message. And, you know, this podcast is tailored to the lipoedema and lymphedema community, and we're so blessed to have you on as a cancer survivor with an amazing story. But that message of body acceptance and body positivity is something that all women really need to hear.
Yeah.
Because we often are our own worst critics, aren't we?
We are absolutely our own worst critics. You know, I remember there was a specific instance maybe about 4 years ago where I was at the beach with my son, and, you know, we go to this beautiful little beach. We live on the Tweed Coast. It's absolutely gorgeous down here, you know, in summer. And we're at this beach and we were having a wonderful afternoon. It was absolutely stunning down there. The beach umbrella, he was in the water, you know, it's crystal blue, it's beautiful. And these other people came down, and I was sort of looking at them and I could hear them. And then I realized that it was an ex-boyfriend of mine and his family, who I really don't run into. They live sort of interstate, you know, and, you know, he's such a lovely person. His wife's beautiful, their children are beautiful. And, you know, we realized at the same time, you know, oh my God, you know, and I got up and was chatting with him, and we probably stood there for about an hour and a half just catching up. And when I walked away, I thought to myself, look how far you've come. You're in a bikini talking to your ex-partner, who I probably never got up and walked around naked in front of, you know, this is years ago when I was in my 20s. I was probably so self-conscious about my body back then. It was probably the most he'd seen of my body regardless, you know, in that hour and a half. And I really thought to myself, this is what doing the work is about, you know. It was, at no point was I feeling like, oh, I should go and get a sarong, or I should cover up, or I just was like really just being me, you know, just being me, enjoying myself in the sun, catching up with someone who I really, you know, admire and care deeply about still. Not at any instance did it occur to me, oh my God, I'm standing here in a bikini.
Yep, just in the moment, just owning all that you
are. What a great example.
Just in the moment, just enjoying, you know, life for what it is. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's where we all want to be, right? Like, I know I'm most days I'm there. Like, I've worked hard. Like, I've met you before, Nat. We've worked together, and I still, like, not every day is a love shell day, but most days are now. Which I just want for everybody to know that this skin suit is different for everybody, and it's just no one else is looking at you and judging you. It's all you. It's all you. Yeah.
You know, the thing is too, it's like that piece. I always think now, the people that would judge you, you don't want in your world anyway. You know, they're not your people. So I'm always grateful for, like, show me who you are in that second, you know, show me who you are in that first perception of me. Show me who that is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that so much. I said the exact same thing at a picnic that I was at with some other mothers from our primary school. And I said, it's so funny that you say that tonight, because I said that exact same thing. We were talking about how the whole mum cliques at school are quite scary. No, they're not. And I turned around to this other mum that I didn't know, and I'm like, if they judge you, they're not your people. And it's such a great message, because you can just lean into who you are, and it doesn't matter if someone thinks differently.
Invest your time in the people.
Okay, so before... Oh, 100%. So before we get into your style tips, because I'm really excited for that, I just wanted to ask you a little bit more about how you manage your lymphedema at the moment.
So it's really basic, really. It is about, I find, if I'm moving, and for me, it's like walking is great, but the big thing for me, I found like really helped me, keep moving fluid, is riding a bike, whether that's at the gym, on a what are they called? Can't think of what they're called. You know what I mean? The bikes, stationary bikes at the gym, or out riding a bike. I think swimming is probably another really good one too, because you're moving your whole body. Like, you're encouraging your entire lymphatic system to move and work. And for me, with where fluid sits, it takes it, for me, it's like move it into the auxiliary of your armpits. For people who are breast cancer survivors, that would be different again, because most women who have had, breast augmentation surgery lose the lymphatic system under their arm. And the other big spot, as you know, is your groin. So shift, I think the thing we forget with any sort of massage of an area is really gentle, like gently, we're really brushing. And, lots of water, drink lots of water. And I know that if I have been partaking in a little bit too much sugary food, that I do start to get a little bit of a build-up. Yeah. So that's really, for me, the three things. I know that at times I probably should wear compression garments, because I do have a predisposition to hold fluid around my feet and ankles, but I'm not very good at that. But that's another one. Compression garments can really be your friend.
They're not for everyone, Nat. I struggle with compression garments.
Yeah.
I tried wearing them today, and I was not a fan. But Tiana is amazing. She has committed to her compression, and she is a daily compression wearer. But yes, me, not so much.
Yeah, but I take your point. What works is what you can do consistently. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Whatever it is that works for you, as long as you're doing it consistently, then that's the road that you can take.
Yeah. And I think, like, it's your emotional mindset, your mental mindset is really important in any of this. It's like, if it starts to feel heavy, then take a break, And at my worst, I'm like, oh, just drink the water, Natalie, drink the water, get some good sleep. Yeah.
You
and I think if you...
Sorry, Nat, we haven't met before, but you...
You go, sorry.
I was just going to say that I'm too excited. I was just going to say that we've not met before, but everything that you're telling me, I keep nodding my head, and I forget that this is a podcast, but it feels like you've come into poignant messages at such a great time, because you have such a realistic approach to your life, and I just feel so much joy from you. So it's such a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. I think, lymphatic massage is great, but like we say, it can be super costly. And, I'd love to see our medical system adopting more of that in an outpatient capacity, and a bit more resourcing there. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we're on that train with you, Nat. That's what we're hoping, that we're going to build some momentum here and maybe be able to make some changes.
Amazing.
All right, so let's talk style, Nat.
Okay.
Right, those outdated beliefs, horizontal stripes, black being thin, let's accentuate the right things. Are they all bullshit, Nat?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe in any of it. I think if you love hot pants and crop tops, you wear the hot pants and crop tops, you know? If you know, oh, where do I start? I think, you know, the biggest thing for me is like find something you love, find a style you love that's comfortable, that you feel good in. Don't let it be about when I look in the mirror, because, you know, body dysmorphia, I think every woman on the face of the planet has an element of body dysmorphic thinking, where we will see the bits that we are conscious of, that we have our insecurities sit in those parts of our bodies. And, you know, I think it's like, be conscious of that and love yourself in that, because, you know, it's conditioning. And maybe find someone who you can talk to about how you shift those beliefs. But find a style you love. If you look at something and you think, I love that, then find that, because, you know, even if you're outside of a straight size range, and I know it's really annoying, plus size shopping in Australia, it's quite shit. It just means you need to be a bit more organized. You know, you just need to give yourself that time to order it online, for it to arrive, for you to try it on. Yes, it is quite, there's a lot of steps involved in it, but if you can find your style, something you love and is comfortable, and when you look at yourself, you think, I love how this looks on me. You know, I love the color. I love the cut of it. I love the flow of it. I love that it makes me feel powerful, or, you know, that it makes me feel floaty and ethereal, or I feel, you know, sexy, or whatever it is. Clothes are so much more than, you know, what I wear around the house and then what I get dressed up to go out and feel sexy. And I feel like we've only ever had those sort of two polarities around style, when it's just so much more than that. You know, it's okay to break up with clothes you don't wear too, you know. That's something, there's nothing quite as disheartening as opening your wardrobe and going, none of this fits me and I don't like any of it. And these are my only options. They're not your only options. It's okay to break up with those clothes. I'm a big fan of, like, you know, once a season, go through what's there. If it doesn't light you up, donate it. Donate it. If it's a good piece, sell it on Marketplace. But, you know, don't hang on to things because, I paid $300 for that top, or someone gave me that top, or this is in fashion, because, you know, like, we're all a bit older. Who thought that grunge 90s would ever bloody come back? And here we're wearing low cut jeans again. My God.
Oh, no, thank you. No.
You know, the little neck, like the little neck things. I'm like, oh God, who knew this was coming back? But fashion is so fluid, dynamic, and it goes through its transitions. Don't get caught up in what is. Yes, it does make it more challenging when you're trying to shop, but find something you love and go with that. If you're not sure, get a bit of I'm not a fan of capsule wardrobes, because I think that's a bit of BS too. But, you know, find something you love and then build on that. Build on that. Find things you love. It's trial and error. You know, you're finding something that is an expression of yourself. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some grace. And also think it's just an experiment. There's nothing permanent here. None of this means anything about me as a person. None of this means anything about my value as a woman. I'm just playing around with some clothes here. It gets to be fun.
Nat, I think what I heard I heard your message was, the rules are, there are no rules with fashion. And I really love that.
There are no rules with, who made the rules anyway? someone trying to sell you something specifically made the rules.
Yeah.
That's
And not
it.
just about
Absolutely.
clothes.
It's all
It's not just clothes, because they make money off you when you buy weight loss supplements, when you dip into the, like the wellness industry now has just become the sheep in wolves clothing. It's just more of the shitty diet culture. And let's feel bad about ourselves because of some ideal that probably a bunch of like middle-aged men in a boardroom have decided that we're all going to subscribe to. And what do they know about women's bodies? Nothing.
They know they can make money off it.
Exactly. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I suppose that's the biggest message I want women to understand about ourselves and our bodies, is that everything that you believe that is not right and negative about your body is because someone else planted that idea for you. And that someone else is making money off your insecurity.
Yeah, they're selling us a solution to a problem we never knew that we had.
We never knew we had. I think back to like, I have this photo I came across of myself when I'm probably maybe 7 years old. And I am, and I laugh because I'm like, oh, it's probably quite reminiscent of my fashion style now. Because I've got this little cowboy, like I've got a cowgirl skirt on, and I've got my, it's a local radio station. So I'm going to say 97, Radio 97, which was probably, it might not have been that, but I've got like a little, like a band, a kid's band t-shirt, So I've got my little band t-shirt on and my little fringe cowgirl skirt. And I'm looking sassy as, I think we all have something that we can tap into that is an anchor for our playfulness when it comes to our personal style, and that playfulness can show up in any of our different sort of looks we have. Yeah. I think I've just
throw away the rules. Yeah.
It's so interesting to find that one thing that really defines your style. But you find it, as you said, Nat, when you feel confident from the inside with what you're wearing.
Yeah. Everyone has those days. I even think sometimes in the body positive movement, it's like this weird relationship again with our bodies. It's like, I'm going to fake it till I make it. And I'm like, no, that's not it either. It's not about faking it till you make it. Because again, there's something there that's subscribing to an ideal that is not healthy for you as well. What is it that you're faking it about? Like, what are you trying to suppress in those moments? Okay, I've got a belly. Yep, I've got a belly. It's here. It's quite entertaining when I hear a lot of other, plus size influencers talking about bodies, and they're like, that moment we all have where we decide that oversized fashion is the only way to go. And it's like this thing in our head that goes, because they won't know I'm fat if I'm in oversized clothes. Yeah, well, you didn't miraculously morph into this like unseen presence in the oversized clothes. Your body is still your body in any moment that you're having. Your body is still your body. And it's okay to not be, have those moments where you're like, not really loving this. But I think even in those moments, it's like peel back the layers and see what's really underneath that. And maybe it's that, you're not eating in a way that's nourishing you. And I'm not even going to talk about food groups, but nourishment, If you are on day one of your cycle, nourishment is chocolate,
Yes.
If you're tired, we're going to look for sugar because we're looking for an energy hit. That's nourishment in the moment, you know. Sometimes it's all green leafy salads and veggies because that's what we want. You know, when you girls are sick, what happens when we're sick? We're like the cleanest eating freak on the planet. We can challenge any wellness guru because we're sick and our body is looking for that type of nourishment because we want to feel better, you know. I think we think about how you feel, not what you're thinking. And even in those thoughts, get curious about what those thoughts are. Where are these coming from? What's underneath that? Shelley knows this. I'm always like, whenever I'm talking with someone and they're like, I feel like this, I'm like, okay. And what's underneath that? And you know these answers yourself, because if you do the what's underneath that exercise, no one interjects with a solution for you. You peel those layers back and you find the answers for yourself. That's, you know.
I find that I feel so much better if I just get up and put some effort into my appearance. So I could feel horrendous during the day if I've got a slouchy day at home. You know, I don't have to be anywhere, which is great. You need those days. But if I don't put effort into my appearance on those days, I feel slouchy and I feel unmotivated. And it's so amazing just to get up and do some skincare and put on some lashes or something, like, you know, put on some mascara, and how that makes you feel from the inside. A very superficial thing, but it has a really powerful internal drive, really.
Yeah,
same with fashion. If you put on something and you feel like you've just nailed it.
Yeah. It's incredibly superficial, but it does help us express ourselves, you know. There is an expression in that. It's like I always think, if I just do my eyebrows and put on some fake tan, I always feel 1,000 times better, you know, and it's nothing. But in terms of styling, let's talk some specifics. I was thinking just before that, you know, what can be helpful? What do you think would be helpful for some of your women listening? What would they like to know about fashion? Fire some questions at me.
Well, I think for me,
because, sorry, Shell. You go first.
You
go first, Shell.
I think because a lot of our community has very disproportionate upper to lower bodies, and also their arms, like as it progresses, we get in our arms as well. So a lot of fitted blazers, things like that. You know, I'm a cardi girl because, hey, cardis stretch a bit. And I know Tiana last week cut the lining out of one of her blazers so she could wear it to work. So I think any little tricks or hacks to make us not feel as obviously disproportionate. I think that's a big one.
Beautiful. Okay. Let's talk about jackets, because I think this is something that maybe everyone will relate to. It doesn't matter what size I've been. Whenever I try on something that has fitted sleeves, I always had to do something to alter the upper arms in it. And I love that you cut the lining out, because what I was going to say, it's your clothes. I don't know why they make clothes that, like, the outer bit is this and then the inner bit's like, you know, unpick the seam on the inside of the upper arm of jackets. You know, they're always, I don't know why people who make jackets make the arms for like a stick, literally, not even a woman's shape. Unpick the lining. Look for things that have like, also that aren't so fitted in the upper arm. That's not really what's in style at the moment anyway. There's lots of beautiful things that have like a little bit of detail on the shoulder with a little bit of, you know, a bit more volume there. Look for things like that, you know. Remember that if you go up a size in anything to accommodate to those bits of you that are a little bit out of proportion with maybe the size you identify with in the rest of your upper body, that you can always whack a quick dart in the back of something. There's plenty of seamstresses now. You know, in most shopping centres, you would find someone who does really reasonably priced alterations. So if you find something you love, remember too that you can have it altered and it will not cost you the world to do that. But you'll get something that fits you and you feel good in, that fits your body. I suppose that's the other message here, is like, we don't fit into the clothes fit us. That's the, you know, don't be disheartened. If you're having trouble finding something, don't be disheartened. There's always a lid for every pot. It just means you might have to look a little bit further, you know. I think too, when we've got sort of, you know, the top of my body's always been a different size to my, you know, from the waist down, particularly around the hips. I'm always sort of struggling with that. I always say stretch in a fabric is always your friend. It just fits so much nicer. So look for something that does have stretch in the fabric. It's nothing worse than, you know, I bought a pair of work pants and I was sitting in them all day last week with a client. And by the end of the day, I was like, Jesus, these are so uncomfortable. No stretch in them. You know, when you've got stretch in something, it just warms up with your body and really fits you like your body wants the clothes to fit it.
And all bodies change throughout the day. Like all of our bodies, we eat where we are in our cycle. Like clothes fit differently anyway. So having that bit of stretch will make them so much more comfortable. Yeah,
absolutely. And it just means that you've got longevity there too. If you have a really fluidy period, it means that you're not automatically going to be going out to find something else to wear. You know, stretch sort of allows you to go up and down a couple of sizes on either side of what the, you know, the tag or the measurements are on the clothes. I think too, you know, like, look, you might love pants. That's great. You know, you can balance out pants with a jacket as well. Again, same thing, find a jacket that you love, that you can work around, that can work with a number of different outfits. There's so many like oversized blazers now, and they just add like a little bit of a layer to things, you know, can just elevate something up a notch when you put on a jacket over the top of something. Think about accessories like a belt, just wear them a little bit higher, you know, just above your belly button. That's sort of where, now I've got a tickle in my throat. Women's bodies naturally don't, like, when we think about where clothes are comfortable, where they are comfortable is always going to be just above our belly button, the waistband of anything, you know. Think about how your body is naturally shaped. That's where you want things to sit.
Where it bends and folds and, how it can move.
Yeah. I find it so fascinating that when high-waisted was the fashion, the high waist would actually be the top of the hip that's like just above my belly button. Like you said, I can't find a garment like that. And I'm like, why are you calling it high-waisted when it sits just above my hip bones? Yeah.
For a second, hang on. Okay.
Got it?
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I think it's funny, isn't it? That whole high-waisted thing. No, that's where that's where you're naturally going to want things to sit anyway. That's where they comfortably sit on you. That's where you're not going to get like, you know, when you sit down in your jeans and you're like, oh, hello, 1, 2, 3, you know, if you're sitting in, it's just naturally where your body's going to be anyway. What else? Can
we talk a little about sizing, Nat? Because I know this was something that was a big shift for me, thinking that I had to be a certain size. And it was with conversations with you that, like, for the first time I went into like Sea Foley of all places to buy a bikini. And I was so confident. I just said, oh, I need a size 18 bikini. And the lady's like, yeah, sure. Here they are. And I was like, oh my God, I just told someone my size and they helped me. Like, that was
she didn't
just
die.
like,
you didn't die. Everyone lived. It was all fine. We go on to fight another day. Yeah, but sizing is...
My heart rate just went up, guys. My heart rate just legitimately went up. That's so powerful.
I think, we have this perception of sizing, and, just an exercise for people to do is go into any large store, find 3 different styles of jeans in the one size, and go and try them on. And you will see the variation in sizing, even in the same fashion line, in the same store. Sizing is, and here's a fact for you, there is no standardized sizing in the fashion industry. There's no fashion standard that says, oh yes, when we make size 12, this is what a size 12 dimensions are. There's no standardized sizing. There's not a universal standard that anyone who produces fashion must adhere to these guidelines. It's not. It's determined by where clothes are manufactured, who they're manufactured by, and what they're manufactured with. There is no standardized sizing. So you could be a size 12 in the same store, in the same type of clothing. You could be a size 12, and then you might be a size 16. There's no standardized sizing.
Just messing with us. Like my previous life, like back in my 20s, I actually worked for Target Australia. And I remember hearing that Country Road, like say they made a size 12, they'd actually label that a size 10 so that their customers would think they were smaller. Like, so they keep buying at Country Road because they're only a 10 at Country Road, not a 12 like they are at Target.
Oh God, it's just so bloody messy, isn't it? I think, it's good to know what your dimensions are. And I only say that in terms of, if you can look and say, oh yeah, that would be the one I would pick up to take home to try on. Here's the other thing too. The most confronting part of a shopping trip for me would be not having this idea that I had to try the clothes on in the store. Oh. And when I let that go, it was like, just take it home. If they have a good returns, always look at the returns policy. But if they have a good returns policy, take it home, try it on at home in your mirror where what you've got an expectation of what you're going to see in the comfort of your own home without someone outside the curtain going, have you got the right size in there, darling?
With those awful fluorescent lights that come from above you and just have there's no forgiveness.
No, there's no forgiveness. Yeah. I mean, if people in fashion were really serious about selling clothes, they'd have bloody better mirrors in the change rooms,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Look, sizing should only ever be used as a guide so you know what you're buying. That's it.
Yeah.
Just to make that so you don't have to take 5 into the change room. You might just pick up a couple, or you might take a couple home.
But as we know, like there's one size 10, but in size 10, that range is massive. So yeah. And then when they're different as well.
Yeah. And
clothes should fit your body, not your body fit the clothes. Yeah. Is that the right way?
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that was right.
It's close enough. Yeah. There's no value for us in the tag on a piece of clothing, right? And if we're putting our value in the tag on a piece of clothing, there's a beautiful little invitation for us to go away and do some work on really what's happening for us. It's just clothes.
Yeah.
Just
why they get a moral value. Yeah.
It's just a guide, Yeah. Yeah. What else in terms of look, I'm not even going to say to balance out proportions because I just feel like don't. if you're, smaller up top and, you're a different size down the bottom, embrace the fact you've got some hips, where like our body is beautiful how it is. Buy clothes that work with your body, not the other way around, And if you're really struggling with, sizing and how things fit, like I said, stretch. Do stretch, wear things just above the belly button. It makes so much nicer line on our bodies anyway. Buy some, find yourself some jackets. Everyone should have a decent leather jacket and everyone should have a nice blazer. They're two staples in your wardrobe. Have a good pair of jeans that you love wearing, and jeans like you can go skinny, straight, mum jeans, wide leg jeans. There's so many great cuts of jeans out there now. You'll find something that works for you. And have some dresses that you feel great in. I'm a huge, I mostly wear dresses now, and I was always someone who was jeans and a t-shirt, jeans and a t-shirt, Most of the time I wear dresses now.
It's one thing. I love dresses. I can chuck on a dress and it's just one thing. I don't have to match anything. I don't have to do anything. Chuck it on.
That's right. Just find a pair of shoes to put on. You'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's I think too, like if you're new in the fashion journey, this is sort of when it was like a few years ago. I think we'd been overseas for the first time. We sort of went for about 3 months, and I had followed all this advice about what to pack and what to wear, and and by the end of that trip, I swore if I ever saw a plain white t-shirt again, I'd scream, And I came home and I was like, right, I'm going to get serious about finding clothes that I really love to wear. And I saw a girl in the shopping centre, the local shopping centre. She had this gorgeous dress on. And I just walked up to her and I asked her, where did you get your dress from? And she said, oh, it's from Spell. And I thought, right, okay. And as Shelley knows, that was the start of my love affair with the Spell clothing brand, and they've done very well out of me in the years since then. But it was like when I looked at their marketing and their clothes and their beautiful prints, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. That's how I want to express myself, I feel like something in me really resonates with that brand. Yeah.
Nice.
I think,
I love that.
You have to find things you love to wear. You have to find things you love to wear that you reach for again and again. We don't need huge wardrobes. We just need things that work. There's only 7 days in the week, and there's only so many things that we can go to, I think the other thing too, like for newbies, is work with a colour way. So if you like white and beige and those, neutrally colours, work with that. Don't then go and add orange or green to it, because, when you open your wardrobe and you're thinking, okay, what am I going to put on? When things are in the same colourway, it's really easy. When you're introducing like reds and greens, when you don't have them in your sort of, predominantly the colour of your wardrobe, we can get a little bit overwhelmed because, oh shit, well, what do I wear with this now? All my other things are this. So start with a colorway and work out from there. It's not saying you can't introduce those colors, but don't overwhelm yourself. Like, start with a colorway, build from there. Buy good pieces, buy good pieces that you're going to keep reaching for. Like I said, fashion is, we see the trends come and go. You build your own style. You're not going to be looking at trends and thinking, I mean, we all have those moments. I do that too, where I'm like, oh my God, I really need to update this. But really, when you stop and think about it, you're not going to be like, oh, I don't have anything to wear and nothing I wear works. Build your personal style.
Very good.
And having
very
those
good advice,
basics
Matt.
too will help with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't need, like I keep coming back to this, you don't need a huge walk. You don't need a huge wardrobe. You just need something that works for you. You know, if it's active wear because you're walking and you've got little kids and you're on the go all the time, then invest in some nice active wear pieces, If it's more corporate-y, work with that. If it's that you work 5 days a week in an office, work with that. Whatever, just that thing of like, there is only 7 days in a week. Even though we think we need all these things, we really don't. And I prove that with myself time and again, because I'm like, oh, I'm wearing this. Let's look at photos of me from 3 years ago. Oh, yep, in the same dress. Righto. Okay. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to recap on a few takeaway messages from you, Nat. So the first one is alter your clothing, either yourself or get them altered to fit you nicely.
Yeah.
Using stretch fabrics, they're a bit more forgiving, especially with our lipedema and lymphedema as well.
Yeah.
And also just being women, we fluctuate in size.
Absolutely.
Stick with a range of colors that you're comfortable with, which is nice. And so your whole wardrobe is kind of cohesive. You can pair things together.
Beautiful.
And size doesn't matter.
Size does not matter.
It's a guide only.
It is a guide only.
Fantastic. Great advice, Nat.
Beautiful.
I think we're almost finished here, Nat. The last thing we have for you. What advice would you give to a young Nat?
Oh, to a young Nat. So much, but what would be the one takeaway I would say? I would say to a young Nat, remember who you are.
I love that.
Over the years, we get, we have challenges and things happen. And I think it's so natural and so easy to be, take things as so personally and to mean so much about ourselves. But remember who you are.
And trying to live up to other people's expectations too. That's a sucker of a one.
Yeah.
Forget who you are through that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nat.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, ladies. It's been lovely to chat to you.
That is awesome. Thank you, Nat. You have a great evening. And
Take care.
You. Wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Lipoedema podcast. Lipoedema and its symptoms vary from individual to individual. The opinions and advice voiced on this podcast are of a personal nature and used for educational purposes.
Please take away from this podcast what resonates with you, and please see your GP or preferred specialist for diagnosis and healthcare. We are Shelley and Tiana from the Lipoedema podcast. Until our next episode, bye for now.